Welcome back to the Staying Christian podcast. I am your co-host, Gavin Hobbs.
I'm the secondary co-host, Eli Chamley.
And
my name is Jaron Steiner.
That's Jaron Steiner.
My name is Jaron Steiner.
He's a good friend of ours. He's spoken before on judgment and how we should just stop it, you guys.
I'm really good at judging people. You know, I sit there and I'm just like, you are an absolute terrible human being.
Yeah, most of the time he's right. And the good thing about our friendship is we can tell him when he's also
an absolute terrible human being.
So
terrible person.
Anyways,
so we don't normally have Jaron on, and
don't normally have me on.
Yeah,
this is first time.
This is our
second time. First time was kind of like me being like,
yeah, you being like,
yo, put me on, or you're a terrible, you're a terrible human being if you don't put me on.
You bust in the door with a battering ram and then said, "Hey, you're wrong."
I was like, you are basically, terrible human being.
Basically trash.
Okay, so you're like, what is this podcast going to be about? And if you read the title, this is why you need friends. Friends are amazing. Friends are awesome. Also, our light just dropped.
I think that's a sign.
Yeah.
The sun fell from the sky.
We're going to have to make a cut here. We have him on the podcast today so we can talk about friends because I'm really good friends with Jaron. Eli's really good friends with Jaron. We're all just a big, happy family of friends and such.
Guts, so
he hates me. It's okay.
Pretty difficult to be friends when you're not actually friends.
When you hate his guts, it's hard to be friends.
That's something we're talking about.
And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Stay tuned. Okay, so to start it off, I want to kind of throw up a little... not a wall. I want to throw... It is kind of a wall.
Okay, we're going to build a wall. It's going to be massive. It's going to be absolutely wonderful.
I got to throw up some things just to say...
Prerequisites.
Okay, prerequisites, I guess. I don't know.
Hole in my head.
I want to say we've had a really good friendship, and I had Jaron on to talk about this today. And this is not to say, oh, you guys should do this the way we did it because we're amazing. Ha 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 ha.
But we are amazing.
Fair.
Don't get us wrong. Right. We're not trying to say we're amazing, but we are. So if that comes out, that's because it's true.
It's because
world
it's true.
Us. Well, maybe there's a little bit lower. But world
exactly.
Us.
But go ahead.
Yeah. I just don't want to come across in that sort of way. And I just want to be able to tell our story because I feel like our story is kind of, maybe it's not unique. I don't know. For me, and from what I've seen with my other acquaintances, friends, and other people, I've never really seen this sort of deep friendship come out of that. And it's been really important and like really actually has heavily influenced my life and my life choices. And my personality. I know you guys love it so much, and it's such a winning personality.
It's definitely not robotic in any way.
Have you guys ever seen like a brick wall? Like that was him before he got hung out.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, I just want to kind of talk about it, and if you guys want to take anything out from it, you can, and if you don't, you can not.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to make the judgment. This is complete garbage.
Do you have anything you want to say on that, Eli?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, typically, Gavin and I have talked about this for a while, but typically we see our friends / acquaintances, like he said, and they have friendships that just don't seem very deep. And we've always said, that's not friends. And we've always been like, why do we feel that way so hard? And it kind of came from our history of being really close, being able to actually open up with our friends and say what we really think about what they're doing. Right. And instead of saying, I hate you, goodbye, when our friends do that to us, we've been able to stick it out and say, okay, I respect your opinion. And, we've been able to talk out and kind of give advice and even retract advice when we see we're wrong. And it's been a very healthy friendships and not the kind that you just lose instantly.
Right. And it's not in a way of just like, oh, you guys don't have friends. That's not real friends. It's not in that way. It's just like, that's what you call a friend. Because I kind of have this different idea.
It's genuine confusion for us.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I know like this is the Staying Christian podcast. So what does this have to do with being a Christian, Gavin? Well, most of us are Christians. I know Jaron isn't
he's not a professing Christian.
A professing Christian, I don't know how would you define yourself, Jaron, as far as all that goes? I don't want to define you for you.
I don't know. I'm right on the edge, I guess. Haven't quite.
He's right on the edge. He
Haven't,
guesses.
haven't committed quite yet.
Yeah.
Right.
We're almost there.
But you
We're close.
you're pretty into I guess the theology, like,
Yeah.
and what it's about. Like you long to understand it.
I could probably long a little bit more, but yes, I mean, yeah, I haven't quite gotten around to reading the Bible regularly.
You listen to theological podcasts
Yeah,
a lot,
yeah.
and so
Yeah.
you've at least
He's
gone
basically
looking.
a junior theologian.
I'm not. No, I'm not.
But yeah, that's basically where we're coming from. How is this Christian? Well, I believe actually friends are really part of Christianity. At least I've found that to be true in my own life. That, like Jaron will literally, and even though he's not a self-professing Christian, he'll say, dude, you were a jerk, or he'll just say things to me. And
right up there with the judgment.
yeah, exactly. Except I was actually listening to a podcast today. It's like there's a difference between judgment and criticizing, and I feel like you do a lot of
constructive criticism, which you do the same thing for me. I mean, it's kind of a mutual back and forth,
Which
thing.
is kind of what we're saying.
Yeah, that's what we go for.
And it's not an man, dude. Like it hurts sometimes. It's not just like that was bad, that was wrong.
Yeah, well, no, the truth hurts the worst.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
there's been times when Jaron has said something to me, and I've been like, whatever, and I go to my room, slam the door, and then I come back and I'm like, you know what?
I think we've only had one of those times.
Maybe
It
one.
may have been more, but at least with you, it actually
For more
slamming the door.
context, these two live in the same house together.
Right.
Yeah, if you want to call it a house.
A while ago,
I mean,
basically a metal can with
let's be
boards
pretty
nailed onto it.
we call it the clink because it resembles a prison.
I lived in the same room as Jaron for a while, and then
Yeah.
I moved out because I couldn't stand him anymore.
Well, I was above him, so it was.
Yeah,
kinda
it was quite
actually
literally
above
and
him
metaphorically. On the
And I
bunk
was
bed.
below you.
No. I
I was
think
beneath you.
there mostly just wasn't a whole lot of us hanging out together. I think the reason why our house works out so well is because we have rooms where we can go back and hang out by ourselves.
Yeah.
And
Retreat, too.
Being in the same room together, you don't have any kind of privacy. It's you have very minimal privacy, and it sucks.
Yeah, that's why we were in the bathroom so long.
Yeah. Got to get those 30-minute showers
That's
in.
right.
It's just like, oh my gosh.
I don't want to see Jaron's face.
For a full 30 minutes.
Anyway, so we kind of all became real close friends when we all mutually decided to be getting up at like 4:30 in the morning together.
Yeah, so this is where we're going to give a short history of our friendship.
Yeah.
I think the first one was pretty awesome. Like the first
yeah.
morning of getting up together was awesome.
I think you guys did the first one.
Yeah, it
without me.
was Gavin and me, because I was like, yo, Gavin, I'm listening to this guy. He says you need to get up early. Except he does it like in a really deep voice. And he's
Spoiler
like,
alert.
you need to get up early.
It's Jocko
right?
Willink.
Yeah, it's Jocko. That's where we got the 4:30 thing from. But anyways, Gavin was like, screw it. Yeah, let's go.
Well, no. First time Jaron walks up to me, he's like, hey, man, doing this super dope thing called like getting up at 4:30. It's going to be dope. And I'm like, dude, that sounds like the worst idea I've ever heard in my entire life.
Clearly, we remember it.
You know?
differently.
Well, no. You came to me a second time and you're like, man, dude, I'm still doing it. And you should get up tomorrow morning with me. And I'm like, you know what? What the heck? I will go be crazy with Jaron tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I walked over to his house, brought a cup of coffee, like 2 cups of coffee. I walked like 400 feet with 2 cups of coffee, which I think is a feat in itself.
Oh, yes.
They were
Without
normal
spilling a drop.
mugs. Yeah.
Nice.
So handed off a coffee mug, and then we started walking around, screamed at a chicken.
We did. The sun had not risen yet because it's 4:30.
Yeah, sun hasn't risen, and we're like, dang, that chicken's also listening to Jocko.
Chicken's awake.
He's probably getting those pictures of his
that's
freaking
right.
watch.
Getting those gains.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was a really good time. We walked around, had some good conversation, I think. Pretty sure.
And then
sure,
you
yeah.
guys slowly convinced me and a few of our other friends to get up together. And we started going to watch sunrise just because, and taking our cameras and getting photos. And it was really nice because not only is the morning like super peaceful, but you just slowly wake up with each other. And you're like, oh, and you find yourself talking about things and just being open. And it was really cool. And so we would get up and we'd do that How long did you say we did that? Like
I don't know.
3 or 4 weeks?
I don't know. It
Five more
was,
than that.
it was I think it was like a month, maybe a month and a half,
Yeah.
maybe 2.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
it was close to that. Yeah.
And then once we started falling off of that, we were like, oh man, we really miss this. We really miss
Yeah.
it. We need to start doing stuff together. We called it 43 Club.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which don't look at the hashtag. It's super weird. It's like there's a bunch of old people, and it's like, well, I guess they're 43, but old people.
They're so old compared to us.
It's just like, what the heck is this? We're trying to do like this super freaking cool club, and there's these old pictures and 40. What?
They're these people in their midlife crises.
Yeah, jeez.
Anyways,
So we did
Go
that
get
for
some real friends.
oh snap. We did that for a little bit. And that was really good. Sometimes some people wouldn't show up. We'd walk around to their house and
Yeah,
knock
bang on
on
their window.
bang on the window. Yeah.
Just throw rocks at their window. Be like,
Start singing songs.
I have a clip, I think, of us outside of Gavin's house.
Really?
One of us had a flashlight on a string, and we were like flashing it.
Did you guys get
And
me up
waving.
that day?
And then you opened the door, and you were like, "What the heck?" That might have been when we were doing the next thing, but
yeah, we're good friends. That's what good
Yeah.
friends do.
You walk to their house and you swing flashlights around.
I guess that's around like 4:40.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
4:40 in
getting
the
off the
morning.
train a little bit.
But
a bit
Yeah.
lacking
Mm-hmm.
because we're not there dead at 4:30.
Nah, no.
right.
Yeah. Tut tut. Tisk.
It's like slippery slope.
Well, after that started declining in frequency, we started doing something else. Jaron really wanted to start working out in the mornings.
In the mornings, I was working out in the evenings like crazy
Mm-hmm.
with 2 other people, and I basically pitched the idea of, hey, let's do a boot camp. Get up early and work out with a bunch of people, and like absolutely just do horrendous workouts. Because when you're talking about it, it's all good. Like you're like,
man.
oh yeah, this is gonna be dope.
Yeah.
We're
Send
gonna
the
freaking
idea.
get after it. And then you actually go and do it, and it's like, why did I do this? Why did I do this to myself?
I'm cold and I'm wet and I have rocks in my
they're like, do bear crawls, and it's like,
I'm doing that. So we got, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. With
Was Ronan doing it that first time? I don't think Ronan started with us
No.
initially.
I was
not
counting. I
initially.
was counting James.
Yep.
So that was, I think, 5 of us. And then we had a few other people come, and then James ended up having to drop out because of his ankle.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, we would get up twice a week,
3 times.
3 times a week.
It was
At
like
4:30.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right?
Yeah, because Friday was our meetings.
Yep.
We did accountability meetings of a sort.
We basically just had a check in every week,
Yeah.
saying like, "How is you guys' mindset? What are you guys going through? Is there anything we need to change about our workout stuff? Besides, of course, not doing the hard things
Yeah.
because we really didn't want to do them."
Yeah.
So, for context, you wanted to go to the military, right?
Right.
And I mean, you still
Yeah.
do. And you decided, I want to go through a boot camp, right?
Yeah. Well, basically, what it was my whole life I've kind of like tried to go after like a brotherhood thing. I don't know why, but I've always wanted like someone else to hold my back, and didn't have that at all. And then, you guys were there, and then
But
we
not
started
really.
working it up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then it slowly got to that point, and it was, super
think-
nice.
I
But
think I remember you really getting into this brotherhood idea because
yeah,
you listened to some of Jocko's books, and you listened to way more books about like Navy SEALs and people who were deployed than I did.
well, I listened to a lot of military stuff in general.
Yeah. But then I listened to
Indoctrinated.
I listened to a few of the books you did,
Yeah.
and I understood what you were trying to go for.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
and you talked to me about it like nonstop. So
Yeah.
we
So it's like super crazy about it.
well, it made sense. You wanted what you wanted was something so that when you go through tough things, somebody's there with actual advice or
Yeah.
that can actually hold your
Or someone who's willing to go through it with you.
Yeah.
And then it's likewise, same way. So when they go through something, you're there for them.
right.
Kind of thing.
And so we wanted that so badly. We were like, all right, how do we even do that?
Right.
And we didn't even know. So we just started working out together. And then
Well, we had kind of an idea. Because if you go through, that's how they make military units as a tight-knit group because, they're going through hard stuff together. They're
Yeah.
physically doing difficult things together. And when you go through, stuff that just sucks with someone else, you have something you can relate on.
Right.
Yeah.
And it helps build that. So that was kind of the idea at the start. But yeah.
Right. And so whenever we do our meetings, we would have, hey, where are you? Are you good?
Right.
And when we're working out, it was always, hey, you can do this. Like, come
Yeah.
on, let's go. And
Yeah.
well, sometimes,
I struggled with that a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was a few things. We had a lot of back and forth things. There's definitely some
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we wanted each other to succeed because we wanted so badly for others to want us to succeed.
Right. Yeah. Every Friday it was super, like Fridays you started looking forward to.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was like the other two workouts, you go through it and it just sucks. But you're always looking forward to Friday because then you guys get to sit down and have coffee together and then be completely vulnerable.
Which was not fun.
Yeah, no,
Not
it
fun.
did
No, it
kind of
wasn't.
suck a little bit.
Yeah, we had a saying on our Friday mornings of like, you're in shallow waters.
Yeah,
So
'cause-
go a little deeper.
We
always
normally
be
go
like-
with something like this,
We'd
like
say,
shallow waters.
how you doing? And then it was like,
I'm okay.
I'm doing all right. It's like shallow waters.
like time to
you're
get
in-
It's like,
dive
you are a
in.
terrible human being. Tell me the truth.
You just dive in deep.
Like, okay.
So
Yeah.
With-
Although there were a couple people who didn't dive in too deep sometimes.
Nope.
I will admit
Nope.
I had a hard time
It
diving
was,
in
it
deep.
was it was you and Morgan, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a hard time.
Yeah.
And I will be honest about that. It was
Good.
hard for me.
You are a terrible
Confession
human
is
being.
good for the soul.
But eventually we got to the point that we felt like, I don't know, why did we drop off that? We just felt like,
Well, for one, we were getting up at 4:30 in the morning. So that
You were working. Eli was working a full time job still.
Yeah.
right.
Were you working a full time job at this time?
I think I was because I was
More or
I
less.
was, yeah.
And I was still in high school working through that.
Yeah. You were working on the farm. Off
And I was
on.
partially working on a local farm. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. But what ended up happening is we would get back from boot camp, be so exhausted we'd fall asleep. And
Yeah.
then get up at some point during the day and be like, "Oh, I'm supposed to be at work." Awesome, because what ended up happening was you're supposed to go to bed early.
Right.
Right.
We were not going to bed
went
early.
to bed early.
So you end up having days where you got like 4 or 5 hours of sleep and just steady decline.
It was a pretty
Yeah.
consistent thing. We barely got any sleep.
we had a few weeks where we literally just had to take a break off.
Yeah.
We just had to
Just
stop.
couldn't mentally do it.
Yeah,
Right. Like I remember I would be reading like a biology book on my futon, and I couldn't hold the book up anymore, and it would fall on my
He
face
made the
and wake
mistake
me
of
up.
laying down while
Right,
reading.
that was a mistake. But I was like, I just want to just lay
Yeah.
down.
I
I'm
remember.
so tired.
I remember we did that, and then in our meetings we all mutually decided that at some point we did want to stop.
right.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
we decided to go to like a certain point. So that gave us like 5 or 6 weeks left when we
Yeah.
decided that. And so
Yeah, it was a couple months
we went through
or a month.
we went through that, and then we stopped. But we still wanted to like get together, so we would try and get coffee once a week.
Yeah, once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It slowly kind of petered out altogether, though.
Yeah.
yeah,
But just for context, like we would go and we work out for 1 hour, and that 1 hour was hell on earth.
yeah. We never
Yeah,
stopped.
it wasn't fun.
It was not fun on it. So my aunt, she is a what is power lifter,
Yeah, powerlift. Yeah. I'd go
and
with
she's
powerlifter.
been pretty successful at it. She's like won a couple like Tennessee championships,
Yeah,
right?
she's
And as a
Tennessee,
boot camp, we
local
call it the
stuff.
boot camp crew. As the boot camp crew, we went to one of her lift competitions way after everything.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, we asked her to basically instruct us and to put together workouts for us and come down and yell at us.
Right.
Yeah, her and Felipe.
Yeah, we had another
Phil.
dude, Phil.
But then again, that was back when. Yeah. No.
Anyways,
Screaming at people isn't the best way to get them to work out.
That's true.
We were on the train of getting fired up, so
Yeah, but
It
we
was more of-
basically
yeah.
authorized her to come and wake us up in the morning,
put us through crap.
and put us through crap, and like no mercy, pretty
Yeah.
much. We were like, you just do not give us mercy.
There was crying. There was yelling.
There was throwing up, pretty
There
consistent.
There
was
was
throwing up.
that. Well, First couple weeks there was throwing up.
Yeah.
I think after we slowly our bodies got used to it after a while.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was not fun.
No, it wasn't fun.
Uh-uh.
It was
No,
not fun at all.
So, and like the things we would do, you're like, oh, you just work out. That's not hard. Our first day doing boot camp, we had to do bear crawls back and forth, and it was pretty much the most brutal hour I've ever lived in my entire life.
It was like 100 feet. 100 feet, and she's like, do bear crawls. I'll let you know when you're done.
Yeah,
And then,
That's it. It wasn't do 5.
it was.
It was,
it
I'll
was
let you know.
open-ended, so
And you're
that
like-
always helps.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And
And
then we've had to flip tires
yep.
nonstop.
Giant tractor tires.
Yeah.
Farmer carries. We've done runs.
Yeah, well, it started out pretty consistently runs, depending on the part of the body we were doing that day. Every morning there was a run, and then if it was upper body, we'd do tires, which was like, we had like 400 feet to flip back and forth. And these are like they're pretty big tractor tires.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we'd swap from duck walks to lunges, stuff like that.
Yep. And like we would
remember the lunges.
I'm having nightmares. I put that way back in my brain.
the lunges,
I'm thinking
man.
of the lunges and the duck walks. I put that way back.
man.
Then we had burpees and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
She also got those weighted ropes.
Yeah,
that we
the
did.
battle ropes
Battle
were good.
ropes. Fully
Yeah.
extended, no mercy. Like
Yeah, no, she did fully extend them. And
yep, and they were the
heavy.
weighted
They were
ones.
heavy.
They were not just the regular.
The thing about ending those,
You like feel like your arms
And
are
I
spaghetti.
feel like
oh, you couldn't even lift your
I feel like
arms.
soon we should stop the nostalgia of
Yeah.
boot camp for a
Fair
minute.
enough.
But the thing about those was that you would get done and you would feel limp
right.
completely.
Yeah, your arms no longer lifted.
But the rest of the day,
couldn't
Yeah.
move.
the rest of the day, if you weren't so sore you couldn't pick something up, which you obviously were, but like you felt
well, yeah,
you felt so
slowly got used to it.
good,
Yeah.
so accomplished.
Yeah, well, in the words of Jocko, you woke up and you crushed the first part of the day.
Yeah,
yeah.
So, yeah,
It
it's a
was-
good start.
it
As
was
long as you don't
amazing.
go home and fall asleep,
Yeah.
because then that just kind of like negates everything you just did.
kind of just resets you. But I would make the biggest breakfasts I've ever
Fair,
eaten.
fair.
Flush down the front. But yeah, so we feel because we did that, and we started with the 43 Club, where we just wanted that kind of companionship so badly that
Yeah.
we worked really hard for it.
Companionship and being better, just in general,
Yeah,
Right.
like
and
bettering each other more of.
yeah,
yeah, briefly, like the reasons, my aunt, her name's Hada, so we'll just call her Hada. She had us all write down our reasons for joining boot camp at one point because we were really faltering, having a really hard time for like a couple weeks. And
Yeah,
so
it was
she's like,
a bad week.
yeah, it was bad. So she's like, give me your reasons,
we
write them
weren't
down.
waking up.
Yeah,
That
we
was
were
what
just,
was happening.
it was bad. So
Yeah.
we wrote down our reasons, and I know my reason for doing boot camp was Jaron was like, hey, I have this crazy idea. Let's wake up at an insane hour in the morning and work out till our guts fell out of
Yeah.
our bodies, you know? And like this literally goes against every instinct in my body that says, don't wake up early, get as much sleep as possible, and don't do things you don't have to do involving working out. I hate
Yeah.
working out. So I was like, but I wanna be buff. I wanna be like Chris Hemsworth, you know? So I was like,
We're still
definitely.
we're still working
We're
on
still
it.
getting there. We're getting there.
yeah.
But yeah, basically my reason was I had just moved back to Tennessee and you guys were living here. And I was like, I want to be
yes.
friends with these dudes.
We were living here.
Yes.
Didn't go really anywhere.
I'm like, I want to be friends with these dudes. And I also want to get buff and look like Thor.
Heck yeah.
So
Looking like Thor is tight.
It is. So that was neat. That was my reasoning. What was your reasoning?
I don't remember.
You know?
All I know is I wanted to be closer to you guys, and I felt like I just knew that it would do it, you know? And there was that, and then also I didn't want to be small like I currently
Little
am
weak pig boy.
because all of that stuff went away. But
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, yeah, you were looking pretty good for a while. Now you're just
now I'm a
you're-
twig again. But
No, you still have some stuff left over.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You have stuff left over.
You got veins.
Yeah.
I do. I've always had the veins though. But yeah. Anyway, so after we did boot camp, we just kind of dropped off.
Yeah, well, we'd still do. We'd still hang out every once in a while, early in the morning. We still do that every once in a while. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But what was interesting about this whole scenario is we went through so much crap together. Like those were some of the worst mornings of our entire life.
yeah. No, the actual
that
boot
morning.
camp went longer than just getting up the first 4:30 club.
Yeah.
It went like I'd say a good 6 months.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of us-
It went around
of
6
us
months. It was
doing
definitely had its
that.
ups and downs of how consistent and all that stuff. But I think the
Which
first
we would be thoroughly scolded for.
Yeah. For the first week or so, I think we were actually doing it all 4 days of the week, right? First like 2 weeks, we were doing it all 4 days.
Yeah, and then
we
we
figured
were
out really quickly this is like
killing
this
us.
This is
Yeah.
literally killing us.
So yeah,
So we dialed it down to the previous schedule we mentioned.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really interesting because when I first moved back, I was barely friends with Jaron and barely friends with Eli, and we went through this.
Yeah,
and
you guys were actually closer than I was with y'all, or with you at least. I was friends with Eli.
Yeah,
but-
I didn't know Eli hardly at all
Yeah, but you guys hit it off better than you hit it off with me.
initially.
Yeah.
I was
Initially,
just
yeah.
The fat weird kid
It's like who is
who's
this?
slightly depressed and seems to have a really dark sense of humor. Like, what's up with this dude?
Yeah.
he's a holly jolly fella.
So I initially hit it off more with Eli, and we started hanging out. And but you guys lived together, so I'd always come over, and Jaron was there too, and we'd always just hang out.
Right.
But it just, I don't know. Like as far as like the friendship building process that happened in those months, it just became we went through so much together that suddenly there was just a friendship there, whether we liked it or not. Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that. Like I'm just trying to break that down.
Well, it's kind of like,
We knew-
hey, man, bear crawls really sucked this morning. You're like, hey, I did those too.
Yeah. Well, also because we had
They
those
did
meetings,
suck.
we would genuinely share what was going on with us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then since most of us kind of grew up in the same area, kind of knew our
We,
families.
we live in a cult.
No, we don't.
we don't.
For context, for context, we live in a Christian neighborhood area, but
Yeah.
the church
Yeah, it's
aspect of
complicated.
it has kind of receded.
Yeah.
So now it's more of a neighborhood that has a church in it that is pretty prominent.
Northwest
Yeah.
Tennessee. Cult for Jesus.
Southwest. We're actually Southwest.
But because we
Yeah,
knew,
Oh snap!
Yeah, I guess we
yeah,
are.
because we knew each other's family stories pretty well, it wasn't like we had to be like, hey, where did you grow up? What did you like doing when you were a kid?
Right.
And some of that stuff would come out based in our current interests and
Yeah.
what we were going through.
But to be fair, I barely knew about you guys. You know, we had known about each other for
Yeah.
like almost our whole lives.
Yeah.
Seeing each other. "Hey, it's you. You know?
Acquaintances,
Yeah.
as it were.
We were very much acquaintances. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eli was very much the skinny kid that couldn't even do a pull up.
True.
And Jaron was the other dude that had a dark sense of humor, and I couldn't quite figure out.
I was the fat kid with a sense of humor.
So yeah, so we built this relationship that's just kind of formed all of a sudden from all that, and I don't really know how to
Well-
explain it except we went through crap together and suddenly
I
there was
don't-
something there.
I honestly don't know that it wasn't intentional. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it was intentional, yeah.
But we didn't think it'd end up like this. I
Like-
mean, me and Gavin are like pretty much as opposite as you can get.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying the way we've been talking about it is like, oh, this magic thing happened and we don't know what happened.
That's true, yeah.
But
Yeah.
we really kind of do. We made a point to say we want brotherhood,
Yeah.
and enough people saw it that and some of the reason we wanted to talk about it was some of the younger kids were like, they have something and it's really weird and strange, but also they're very close. We want that, so let's try and replicate boot camp.
They actually did try to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It failed.
So don't
Yeah,
try to do
no,
it,
I
guys.
mean, failed is
too
a
shall
strong
fail.
word,
Yeah.
but
It didn't go quite
it didn't go how they wanted
Yeah.
it to.
right.
And yeah, anyways.
It was very interesting how kind of like when we were doing it, we weren't trying to do it for say a publicity stunt or anything. We were just
not
out
at
there
all.
trying to do it. And it was really weird because we had some church gatherings where people were like, wow, look at what these guys are doing. We're just kind of like, huh? You guys knew we were doing this?
We've still
There's
got
some people
black-
are like, yeah, you woke us up because you're flipping stupid tires.
We've still got black tire marks on our arms, and we're just like
Pull the sleeves down.
Yeah,
barely
Yeah.
awake.
but
But yeah, because we tried to form it intentionally, we kept up even if we like didn't see each other
Right.
for a week or so, and it's still been pretty consistent. But my point being, we've gone.
me and Gavin have kind of slacked off a little bit on keeping up.
Yeah,
living in
yeah.
the same house.
It's hard.
It's difficult.
when you the
I was
passing,
talking about me. But I say that to be like we've definitely had issues. You know what I mean?
I see no problem here. We've never had issues.
I think to tack on to what Jaron said, Jaron did mention something that's kind of important. Jaron and I are very, very opposite.
Super opposite.
Super opposite.
I mean, look at his body type and look at mine. Like,
There's like no reason we should be friends on planet Earth.
he's the mouse. I'm the elephant.
Right. So like the fact that we're even friends and that we live together is just kind of mildly fascinating to me.
Yeah, one of the world wonders.
Right. I think one of the times
You guys are Penn and Teller.
we-
You just-
one of the times we were actually walking home from boot camp, I think, Jaron was like, yo, I want to go to the military. And I said, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
And I kind of curled up on the ground and kind of rocked myself to sleep. I was like, oh.
I told him exactly what I thought. And I'm like, why would you be so idiotic
and I'm just
as to want
walking
to go there?
silently next to them as they're yelling at each other about it. And
We weren't yelling. There was maybe some...
you were pretty
larger-
pretty
Okay, so look,
frustrated.
the blood was pumping through us. Like,
Oh, yeah.
we couldn't hear because the blood flowing past your ears. It's kind of like when you stick a seashell up there.
yeah.
Can't
Yelling
hear
may
squat.
have occurred.
I don't think there was yelling.
Yeah. No, it was just a weird argument because he was like, military's stupid, and I'm like sitting here with my stack of military books and Jocko in my ear, and I'm like,
Right.
huh?
You
Like,
mean
why would you say that
Right.
to
I'm
me?
wasting my time? You're
Yeah.
wasting your time.
But yeah, like that was just one of the many disagreements we've had over the years.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of major butt-ins.
Well, the thing about that though is you guys came away from that still respecting each other enough.
Yeah, no, it's
Because normally you guys would have a thing like that and be like, all right, we'll agree to disagree, bye. And then you guys would still kind of hold that against each other subconsciously. You know
It's-
what I'm saying?
having the humility from the duck walks to talk it out with the other person and not be like, not have an overinflated ego so much that, you can't, you're not so stuck in your own head that you're not willing to accept someone else's viewpoint.
To be fair,
Right.
guess.
everybody getting a turn trying to just lift their legs and hold it in the air with just your abs and failing at it while everybody watches you. Everybody getting that turn, it does kind of level the playing field a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really interesting for me because during the whole time of boot camp, we've got all these twigs. These people who look like, you can see every muscle on their body.
Because
Totally
there's
not fair. But like for me, the time before we started boot camp, I was powerlifting the whole time. And powerlifters consume everything. So I went from being a fat boy to a bigger fat boy with some muscle. And I couldn't do a pull-up. Like when we started boot camp, I could not do a pull-up. You guys
Right.
could do 2 or 3.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could do a crap ton because you're proficient in running away.
Not a I couldn't
In
do a crap
parkour,
ton.
the Frenchman's
Right.
martial art. Yeah. But yeah, it was pretty humiliating for me because I lift a bunch of weight while powerlifting and can't do a pull-up.
Yeah.
That really sucked.
Yeah.
So
You're just built boots on the ground. That's just how it is.
it's like, yeah, you guys, well, literally boots on the ground because like they couldn't leave the ground. Yeah, you guys are sitting there pumping out your pull-ups and it's like, gosh, this really sucks. But that really helped. me personally kind of, knock me down a couple notches. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So I do think that helps a little bit. But like getting through those arguments and choosing not to just say screw you and walk away
Yeah.
was actually, I think, integral to a lot of our stuff too.
Yep. And I think we were so committed to one another almost that word kind of sounds weird in this context, but like we were all together in boot camp,
Yeah.
we had all committed to that. And by committing to that, we were kind of committed to each other, because we were around each other. We kind of had to form a friendship. If this friendship wasn't going to work, then boot camp wasn't going to work.
Right.
And what's interesting about the scenario I just mentioned with me disagreeing about Jaron going to the military and him saying, I still want to go to the military, is we still have that kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys have it in a joking way now. It's not something that inflates your ego so much that you have to have a battle about it.
Right. But I think it's worth saying, like, I still don't necessarily agree in the military. There's a certain place you're going into now that I'm like, okay, I'm a little okay with that now,
Yeah.
Like
Well,
paratrooping or parajumping or something.
Just the thing that I'm interested in. But yeah,
Right.
it's just having different interests. I mean, nothing wrong with that. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
you really like parkour. I could never do parkour.
You could. I still say it.
Yeah.
But no. What I'm saying here is, like, I still disagree that I think it's wrong to kill someone, and
Yeah.
you still think you think there's a scenario in which it's possibly okay,
Yeah, I think there's a point.
Yeah.
Ooh, then we just go into the right and wrong of taking a life.
Oh no.
That's
Yeah.
a whole rabbit trail.
But
If what's
But
funny
I-
about this exact thing though is I'm exactly on the fence because I'm super C.S. Lewis fanatic,
right.
and he's okay with it, and I've been not okay with it, so I'm still like juggling it. So it's
Yeah.
funny actually how we're sitting, so that
Yeah.
Jaron is on one side of me and Gavin's on the other side.
It's a very complex topic, I'd say. I don't
Yeah.
understand it fully, obviously, and still working through that. So
Right. And I'm not trying to jump into that whole thing, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying that to illustrate we still kind of disagree about some stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
But it's a disagree of, we disagree. Doesn't affect our relationship right now, though. I know Jaron's not going to turn around and kill me, knife me in the back while I sleep. Because if he knifed me, he wouldn't knife me in the back. He'd knife
Not
me in
yet.
the belly. Real friends stab you in the chest, not in the back.
Yeah. Well, there's been other arguments like that, but I think the biggest thing is being able to go ahead.
It's the when you're younger, you want to avoid confrontation. You want to just kind of like agree with them, kind of, just to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
And you don't build friendships that way.
No.
Yeah.
You don't just agree with everything that someone says. You actually have to stand up for yourself, which in the end, they'll respect you more for that.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you do get into an argument, be able to, work your arguments out. And if you are working your arguments out on someone else, they'll point out the flaws and you'll be stronger because of it.
Yeah, and it really helps if both of you know that the other person is for you.
Yeah.
Because if you go into that thing, technically the definition of what we're talking about is loving one another.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
you truly want the best for each other.
You don't take those low blows.
Yeah.
Right.
But
You're not trying to hurt them. You're
Right.
trying
Yeah.
to talk through something
Right.
with them.
and even if you do make a joke that hurts, you guys can talk about the fact that, hey, that was a
I make
sensitive
lots of jokes that hurt.
sensitive spot, which we've dealt with.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when you have the conversations like, hey, I think this is wrong, and I'm telling you because I care about you, it's way different.
Yeah.
And it's much better than not.
Right.
And once you work through it, you're stronger in the end. You're not weaker.
Yeah. And, at this point, a lot of those arguments, that there's no foreseeable part where I have to kill someone. I don't want to kill someone.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not something that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really matter where I stand on it because I'm not putting myself in that situation right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really not that big of a deal in my current life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there were just things like that we had disagreements, and we're saying this as if we all sat down and had a little conversation, and everyone just kind of worked things out, like
got our blankets and
pinkies up, you guys, farting unicorns and all that good stuff. We just talked through it. No, like Eli said, apparently I raised my voice.
Yeah, he did.
So
well, the other thing is like me and Gavin have gotten into it.
Oh yeah,
like to the point where he's like, I don't know that I can do this podcast with you if we don't get past this.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, this is serious.
I'm on the sidelines just fueling the fire.
He was in the bathroom with his ear on the wall, listening. What's funny is we actually get into these arguments with or each other around, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this again, except to say that working through it really helps strengthen the friendship more.
Podcast is still here, despite my efforts.
Right. Now you're on the podcast. Oh, snap.
There's still a plant in the corner of the outpost.
Right.
If you can't beat them, join them.
It's kind of dead, though. Sorry, Mom.
So Jaron did win the plant.
Yeah.
He did win the plant argument.
I didn't burn it.
Battle. You didn't burn it, though. I threw it in the dumpster. Because
I was tempted to.
you.
I was tempted to.
And I had
it was a plastic plant from the 1980s, might I say.
I brought in this plant
from the 1980s
into our studio, and I was like, look, it'll add some like life and stuff. It kind of looks
It
cool
had
and
dust
modern.
on it from the 1980s. Might I like dust is mostly human skin. You had corpses from the 1980s.
He threatened to burn the plant as soon as he set eyes on it.
Yep.
And I was like, I want to keep the plant. He was like, I hate the plant. I said, I want to keep the plant. And he was like, I now want to burn the plant. And I said, you're not allowed to burn the plant. He's like, I'm going to burn down this whole outpost. And I was like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
So eventually I gave in and got
I
rid
didn't
of the plant.
like the plant. Yeah.
I got rid of the plant. That was one of our many stupid arguments.
One of the stupid arguments. Just one of many.
Jared's like, stupid. What is it? Stupid.
I'm not
This ain't
stupid.
Grub
I'm a oh God. Yeah, that was an exceedingly stupid argument.
That was, but we had it.
Yeah, it did happen.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think we agree on it still.
We still don't agree on it.
all of this to say though, how we feel about friends, like our definition has changed drastically.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now when I see someone who they're like, oh, I'm friends with this person, but I can't trust them.
It's like,
I'm like,
are you really,
I'm like,
are you really friends? You're
know,
not friends.
and I genuinely don't understand. And then I wonder even what I did before I had friendships like this.
Yeah.
You know?
I think for me, I lived out in Memphis for about 5 years of my life and had none of you guys, no friends, pretty much zilch. Only people who came out.
Little brandy boy standing at 3 feet.
Little brandy boy. He came out and he lived with us for a while and we were friends. But then he moved away and then I was all alone again. And all I had was the squirrels and I named the squirrel Tom. And then I had the Robin, and they were my friends. Literally, I'm not kidding about this.
It's pretty impressive. He befriended squirrels.
But I had no friends. So when I did get around other kids my age, I was desperate for friends. You know, I was like, I'll agree with you. You know, I'll you know, you just kind of do that because you're so desperate for someone to like you and stick with you. And in California, I found myself doing similar things when I was trying to make friends, just trying to agree with them and all that, and try to just do anything.
You're
to
trying
get
to
your foot
make
in the door.
them like you.
Right.
That's what's happening.
Yeah. You're trying to make.
Here's what you're trying to do.
This is what you're trying to do.
You're stumbling, but you're trying to get to this point. Trust me. I know which one you're trying to get.
Hey, been there, done that. Probably too much.
Yeah, I think all of us probably have done that a lot.
Yeah.
Except for him. He was kind of like the legend
Yeah, he was
in the
just
group.
like,
Everybody
guys,
wanted to be like
guys,
Eli.
just stop it. You know, you're too much. You guys,
He's like,
back off.
okay, have you heard? I'm writing a book. We're like, you're writing a book? He's like, yes, I know how to spell. We're like, you know how to spell?
You don't
He
know
was
how
like-
to type real fast? Yes, sir.
Can I be
Like,
in the book?
can we be in
I
the book?
book?
He's like,
Everybody wanted to be in the
Yes,
book.
yes.
he's
we
like, this
can
is
be in
what
the
I'll
book.
do with you. And we're like, we start making our own stories off of our characters in
It
the book.
was
True story,
genuinely
true
helpful.
story.
Here, this is a short side
Oh,
note.
dear.
It was genuinely helpful for people who wanted to be in the book because it helped me create characters without having to go through the work of creating characters. And then they were like, I could just use their personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would give me ideas for their character the whole time. And so it was easy.
You're bringing me back to bad memories, bro.
Bad.
So when you were in the book, what was your name in the book, Jaron?
It was Adrian? I
Adrian.
think so.
Not too bad.
The darkness.
I'm surprised you
darkness.
remembered.
Yeah.
Trying to find ways to
Bro,
make fun
don't
of
bring
that.
me back. Guys, stop.
He's like, stop it. Get out of my
I'm going to shrink up into a little ball.
This incident was when I was like 12 or 13. So
Pre-boot
you
camp.
would've
Yeah, you were
been-
about 13. I was a wee little lad. A fat wee little lad.
Yeah.
It's 5 BB before boot camp.
Yeah. So, where are we going with all of this? Because we had a point.
We did. I have notes on this. I'm sorry, you guys.
I'm just trying to get us.
We're floating in the ether of friendship.
Yeah. I think like we had this thing happen, and I think what was important is we went through these hard things that developed humility with each other, right? Like what you were saying, you know, it brought you down those notches to watch all of us be able to do pull-ups, and you couldn't do one. And we had this level of humility for each other that helped us get through those arguments, you know? So it wasn't just a battle of egos, which in some cases it was a battle of egos, you know?
I don't have an ego.
Jaron doesn't have an ego.
It kind of was for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
But the big thing is we were committed, and we kept coming back to each other and trying to work through things.
Yeah.
And eventually it just, I don't know. I don't think it's all flowers and whatever, because like almost
totally not.
once a month we honestly have something, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you've got deep friends, like friends who are willing to call out the crap you say and such, it's not going to be an easy hunky-dory road.
No.
Like, it's going to be rough.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the appeal of those friends, is they can iron you out.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't see all of the problems with you.
Yeah.
And your friends are detached from you. They can see what's really going on.
Yeah. They have a elevated view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in the choppa.
Yeah. Get to the chopper.
And like we learned, I think, in boot camp also to root for each other, you know?
Yeah.
At first at a base level of just, you know, hurry up and run so I can be done with these sit-ups. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We relied on each other to be able to relieve each other from pain. And it was at first a friendship born out of pain with each other, shared pain. You know, so there was that first we learned how to root for each other there. And then that slowly started to transfer over to in arguments. Are we rooting for them as well in this situation, you know?
Right.
And am I going to let what their words, maybe this word is true, am I actually going to admit to that, you know? Or am I just going to be like, oh, you know what? My point is better than your point, so your point doesn't matter, right?
And
Totally unbiased view.
Yeah.
Right.
the ego thing really did help, because you could get knocked down and then be like, okay, I can take what so-and-so has to say.
Yeah, and we had people like our boot camp instructor that on those Friday mornings she'd be like, "Yo, he's right," or,
Yeah.
you know. So I think where we're going with all this kind of is like we had this friendship that came out of that, and it was a much deeper friendship than any of us ever imagined. Like I don't think any of us went into this thinking, "Let's all be deep friends."
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that was not what was going on. Like, let's just be friends.
It was
you know?
really, for me, it was born out of, I want someone I can trust.
Yeah.
I want people that I can trust and that will trust me.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was more of that, but way deeper than I thought it was going to be, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's someone who has your back.
Yeah. And that's been very true. Like I live with Jaron now, and
Yeah.
I told him, I said, if you die, I may die also. It sounds weird.
It
but I
sounds
was like-
dramatic.
I was like, if you die at this point, I don't know, because I wouldn't be able to handle it. I said, you need to leave the house for about a year and be in the military for a year, then you're allowed to die, because then I'll be less.
It's like
Caring.
Bane. He's like, let me destroy Gotham, and then I give you permission to die.
Right. Let our friendship deteriorate first.
Yeah. I feel like I'm going to sound really high up there, but I feel like this is how God made companionship to be like with brothers.
Yeah, social creatures, not supposed to go through this gig alone.
Yeah.
And there's something that you get from guys that you don't get from anywhere else.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can call it harsh, but it's definitely something like that. It's like guys are willing to be tough on each other.
It's the tough love thing. And it's like you actually need it. And like when you hear tough love, it's like, oh, that's just an excuse for somebody to be mean to somebody so that they can let out their aggression. But
I'm mean to lots of people.
but it's not. It's
Me too. Hashtag.
it's being able to be put back in your
No,
place.
Gavin, no.
I'm sorry.
No.
You know what I'm saying? It's being able to be put back in your place by the people that you trust.
Yeah.
And that kind of companionship is invaluable.
Yeah.
And in a way, I want, it's not like, hey guys, look at this cool group I have. It's like, I want everybody to be able to have this,
Yep.
And I can't imagine living without it anymore.
Right.
And even days I'm like, I go through the motions alone. I go, what happened? Like, why am I here now? What happened to my companionship?
Yeah.
And usually it's my fault that I don't have it because I just haven't sought it out.
Yeah.
Again. And this is,
Yeah, it's almost like a cheat thing for us to live together. Because, like,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
we got you, Pulaskevich, me, and it's just like, we just got to step out of our door
Out of
to
our room.
talk to someone.
Yeah.
yeah.
And say, hey,
So
man.
it's kind of like, we don't really have to leave the house.
Yeah.
It's
But
super convenient.
for me, it's like a decision to either go find one of you guys
Yeah.
or see what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I actually did when we were going through boot camp, I still live with my family. So I would walk my dog and then I'd drop by their house pretty consistently
Yeah.
at a couple times during the week. And I would just hang out at y'all's house till way too late.
If I saw you out the window and you hadn't come by, like if you had passed the house, I would like step out on the porch and
Right.
yell at you.
Hey!
Why did you come over?
What are you doing over there? Get your butt over here right now.
Right. It was, and we just, I don't know. Like to add on to the thing about things we just can't live without and stuff as far as quote companionship and all that. Like, I don't know that I would be able to be as quote emotionally stable as I am today without the friends group that I have right now.
Yeah.
Because I still go through this time like every month or so where I'll be like, I just want to find a girl. You know what I mean? I just want to find, because I'm still single. Loving it. But
Like, not to toot my own horn, but I'm open.
Not to brag or anything, but
And
Still
just like
single.
throw your hair back a little bit. Why, hello. It's like,
but
why,
yeah,
hello, gorgeous.
I don't know that I would have been able to stay this long single because there's been and do it the way I've done it, I guess. Like, that sounds weird. I guess, like, there will be times where I'm just like, I just want to find anyone. I just want to get somebody, My friends are like, hey, you're going to be okay. You're going to get through this, And I don't know. Like, being able to have other guys that are not even also single. Like, there's been Eli, who's pretty much had a girlfriend, like, for forever. So,
he's been taken.
yeah.
Yep.
But
Just moved to Utah.
Just moved to me.
Become a Mormon.
Oh, that's true.
not all of them. But anyways, like, being able to have friends around me has been invaluable for even being able to just step out of that situation and being like, yeah, I don't have to have a girlfriend right now. I'm going to be okay. I have these guys to rely on for really a lot of things in my life. I can be like, hey, Jaron, man, I hate my life right now. And Jaron's like, yep, life sucks, buddy.
Yeah.
And, and then I'd be like, talk to my other guy in the house. And I'm like, man, I'm struggling with this. And he's like, yeah, well, don't, or something.
Yeah.
Not really like that, but like, we're able to encourage each other to
Focus
be that
on
way.
what
Yeah.
we're,
And it's
our
not just that,
goals.
it's coming home and I'll cook dinner. Jaron will cook dinner. Palau will cook dinner. We'll all be in the house joking.
I will get dinner from his
you'll
mama's
get
house.
Palau will get dinner from his mom's house. That's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're able to basically encourage each other and be able to rely on each other for like basic friend needs. Because I feel like humans have basic friend needs.
Yeah. So going back to what you said, the title is why you need friends.
Right.
Ultimately, we were made to need friends.
Yeah.
I
mean,
I believe that we were made to need
God
friends.
made Eve pretty much right away.
Yeah.
Which was his first friend.
Yeah. But
I mean, that's marriage.
Social creatures.
Yeah, we're social creatures.
Yeah. But brotherhood is in a way holy, and you can take holy out of context, but it's like the set apart thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's special.
Yeah, I was thinking about it because thinking through that story specifically, the Adam and Eve thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you need guys in your life as a guy, especially if you're married. There's a common mistake that dudes will make where they get married and they're like, we don't need anybody else. We got girl of our dreams.
The girl, we're done.
Right?
Check.
And there's sadly points that she cannot help you with. Like guys would be a lot better in that area because like you'll have a rough day or something, you'll go home, and I guess depending on your wife,
she also needs ladies to help her with
yeah,
things.
no, yeah, definitely. But
Yeah.
I'm saying like as far as from a dude's point of view, like if you have a rough day and go home and someone says, "Oh, it's okay, just do better tomorrow" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas compared with a guy's point of view of just that you did terrible. That was really bad. You should really work on
It's like,
that or something.
all right, step it up. Tomorrow morning, get up and say to yourself this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess that does, differ a little bit. But back to the Adam and Eve thing, it's like, there wasn't another guy made for Adam.
Right.
Because Adam had God. He had brother God.
Right. Exactly.
True.
Best accountability partner ever.
Right, no kidding.
He can point out exactly what's going on with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, while we're here on Earth, we need friends to point out the issues that we have, to help us live the way that we want to, better morally.
Right.
And we can't make it on our own.
Right. And I actually think personally, like looking back on the stories from the church that was born here, like the church was born out of a bunch of friends who wanted to be together and follow God and worship God and talk about God constantly. You know, that's literally what it started as. That was the church, all these people that came together out of one common goal, and it just becomes really, really strong when you have that,
Definitely bumps in the road, like anything like that.
Anything,
yeah. Turns out, like, as humans, we're flawed or something. What? I don't know. I looked in the mirror yesterday and I was like, nah,
I
not
was
flawed.
like, that right there, perfect human beast. Hello, you.
This scar, just a blemish from the fingerprints of God. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I don't know what to say more about that. I don't think, like Eli said, we're not looking at friends now and just being like, man, you guys are terrible. You don't know how to do this. I don't know that I could ever recreate what happened here.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be difficult.
It'd be difficult. I personally think this sounds super religious, but like I think God had something to do with this. Like something was born here.
Probably, yeah.
But like we said, someone else tried to kind of replicate
Couple people.
The younger
there
kids.
were like two shots at it.
Yeah, they tried to do boot camp and it just kind of
But the magic in it
died.
wasn't boot camp.
Yeah.
No.
Really, it was the want to have that companionship
Right.
so strongly that you would do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so us putting ourselves through that hard stuff definitely helped.
Mm-hmm.
But we would have had to go through the kind of arguments we did anyways if we really wanted to be dedicated to our friendships with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it turns out you can't go through life and just be happy.
I mean,
It's like I've pretty much done it perfectly.
no. Yeah, there's a lot of different aspects to happiness because, I mean, if we're really going to talk about...
Well, I mean, from a worldly perspective, happiness is everything is hunky-dory and you're not going to have any troubles whatsoever.
Those dopamine shots are just flying
I
in your
mean,
brain.
Ultimately, our pursuit for happiness comes from our need to fulfill our ultimate goal of our perfect...
You're just
what do you
using a
call
lot
it?
of words there that I'm kind of...
Yeah, I'm like kind of blanking out.
I mean, like, as humans, we have, what do you call it? Potential.
There's
for
another
things.
big one.
We have, well, We have potential for things, and so we have an ultimate goal, and
Yeah.
I think that's to be one with God.
No, be loved by God.
Yeah.
Well,
to
you're
also-
already, I don't know if you want to say be
You're
loved
already
by
loved by
God, because
God.
you're already loved by God. Maybe share the same or similar love for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do the same.
I mean, if you think about the human story, and we're going on a tangent here,
Yeah, we
but
are.
the human story is literally a divorce, and the ex-husband, trying with everything to get his wife back, and eventually succeeding, if the prophecy is correct.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he goes to prepare a place, and then he's coming back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, we just got on a whole tangent there.
all that to say,
Why do you need friends?
well,
Yeah. I think you can make it on your own, but I think if you have a support group around you, you'll do a lot better.
Oh yeah.
It'll be
I-
easier / harder,
I don't think I could have made it on
but
my
you'll
own.
do better.
I'll be honest with you guys.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have. So,
Probably not with being the same person.
no.
You would have changed.
Yeah. Well, I have changed.
You would have been terrible.
I have
Yeah,
changed, but
basically trash. you
I've
know?
changed so much for the better. I'm still not perfect, but I've changed so much for the better
You're not?
because
we thought you were.
I thought I was too.
I only agreed to this because I thought you were a perfect human being. Jeez.
No,
Oh,
but
I quit.
my point being, the support group really, really did it.
Yeah.
Really helped me. I don't think that without that outside view of Gavin taking me to an Olive Garden and telling me that he thinks everything I'm doing is wrong.
I did.
And,
I don't even like olives.
and then Jaron sitting me down and saying, hey, you totally dropped me as a friend. Do better or else,
Yeah,
of course,
we had
I did
multiple.
perfect through that whole situation.
Jaron
Yeah.
was perfect human being.
Perfect human being. Yeah.
And yeah, if I didn't have people calling me out, looking at the things that I'm definitely not looking at and
Right.
saying, hey, you've got a problem here, and me doing the same for my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the big ones that stick out right now because of the most recent are us calling you out, but there's been plenty of instances where you guys have called out me and you've called out Gavin. I mean, his hair is just so long and terrible. I think, we need to have an intervention right now.
Anyways, we say all that to say we think we need friends to keep on keeping on
Yeah.
in the best way.
They're really, really integral, at least
To us as a group. Yeah.
to us. Like you said,
Yeah.
I think you can make it by yourself, just not half as well.
Yeah. You'll have some more bumps in the road,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can look at it as if you got friends in the car, driving
Yeah.
down the road. You all hit a bump together. Maybe it's a joke now. Something like
Yeah.
that. But if you,
Yeah.
by yourself, it's just
It's just frustrating.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, that pothole's there probably
like
messed up my
stu-
suspension.
Stupid road, stupid government, stupid life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Then you get home and be lonely.
Yep.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't think it's taken away the, like, I'll still be lonely sometimes. That's what's
Yeah.
funny for me.
No, you won't.
I'll still feel
Jaren's
lonely.
like, I'm right down the hall, buddy.
But like we've had conversations where I'm just like, I just feel terrible.
Yeah.
Jaren's like, whoosh, whoosh. He's like, give it together, man. You're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Shut up, you're more
It's kind of like,
handsome than me.
it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm alone, but well, it'll pass in a month. So
Yeah.
a couple weeks, you'll be good. It's like, just gotta keep on trudging.
Yeah.
Super weird, that thing of I'm alone. It's just kind of weird.
It is a
guys
weird
are,
feeling.
drawn to someone else.
Yeah.
You want to feel wanted, I guess.
Well,
Which
everybody,
might be silly. but,
everybody does, but I think that's the thing about wanting to be better is part of it. Wanting to be part of it, something bigger than yourself is part of it,
Yeah.
and then wanting to be wanted or needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
You know,
even just wanting to have a
I think-
family, something like that.
I think ultimately those are
weird.
all wants for God, because we look for that in other places and we make idols out of other things that give us those temporarily.
I mean, I also think there's instincts like what Jaron was said, to start a family. There's
Yeah.
instincts we have that God placed in us to, take care of our wife,
Yeah,
find a
turns out-
wife.
Turns out you got to get married and, got to keep the human species going.
Right.
Jeez.
Got to propagate the human species.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been our experience with friends as an overall thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Friends are super integral. And as far as tips from us on how to make friends,
Oh man.
I don't.
I think for me, it's go through the hard things.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as stuff gets hard, don't just stop.
Yeah.
Try and get through it. Work on it.
I
Go
think
through it with someone else.
a big thing is actually being vulnerable, because I know for a
Oh, yeah.
while when I was with you guys, I was just watching you guys be open, and I wasn't really in there. And then I knew as soon as I was like, hey, yeah, I'm going through this, and I was open about it.
It helps to talk about it.
Yeah.
It really does.
And, it can be, it's like, okay, what do I trust them with? It is a leap, because
Yeah.
you're like, okay,
yeah.
I'm literally laying myself out there for people to point at and say, okay, this, and that you should probably look at.
Getting vulnerable.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, probably the thing that people first think about when they're going to stick themselves out there is, will this person still like me after this?
Yeah, will they go telling other
yeah.
people how horrible I am?
Yeah. Will
Yeah.
they still view me the same way?
Or
Kinda
will
thing like that.
also will they use this information against me later
Yeah.
on?
Yeah.
Because we've laid out some pretty big secrets of our lives in front of
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about it a little bit ago at one of our fires. It was like sitting around, when you're young, you get around a fire and stuff, and you're like, ooh, what secrets do you have? And it's like this
Right.
little adrenaline rush that you get from it. And we were kind of doing something like that, and it got around to me, and I was like, oh, crap, y'all already know all my secrets.
Everything.
This is kind of lame. This really sucks now.
Right. But it
Yeah.
feels really good to be known by each other.
Yeah.
And everyone's still, we're known by each other, everything.
Yeah, you're not
And we're
hiding.
still loved.
Yeah,
And we're not hiding anything anymore.
right.
It's super freeing, and I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It turns out it helps to be honest. Huh.
Amazing.
Tell the truth.
I seem to recall there was a man who came down a mountain with a few stone slabs. I think one of them had that on it, actually.
And there's that other guy. You gotta clean your room.
You gotta be honest with each other. You gotta say the right things.
You gotta at least not lie.
Get that clean room energy. I'm sorry.
Did you already give out your advice on Eli?
Yeah, it was the being vulnerable.
Yeah. As far as like making friends, because I lived out in the city for a while. Making friends was really tough. My mom was always like, "You're so good at making friends." I'm like, "Mom, I'm not good at making friends." Because
Homeschooler life.
yeah, straight up homeschooler life. And yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is we finally joined a homeschool group, which we had joined a lot of homeschool groups, and a lot of them were pretty lame. But we finally joined one with some dudes that I actually liked, and I was finally just starting to get in with them, And things were starting to go well, and then we actually moved from California. I'm like,
Rug
gummit.
pulled out from
Right.
underneath you.
Just started going and doing parkour with some of the buddies
Yeah.
there. It was pretty legit. But what I found with like recent meeting people and making friends is if you stand up for what you believe in right away and you don't back down, and if someone says, "Oh yeah, dude, like California sucks," and I'm like, "Dude, I live there. I really
That's me.
liked it." Yeah.
Yeah.
Like immediately standing up for what you believe in, like what Jaron said, almost makes them respect you, And
100%.
if they
100%,
if they
yeah.
don't respect you for that,
Don't
they
hang
just
out
say
with
They
them.
you're
respect
dumb.
that you're standing up
Yeah.
for something.
Yeah, or if at that point they still don't want to be friends with you just because you believe that one thing, then you probably
Yeah,
shouldn't be friends
not-
in the first
not worth
place.
it.
Yeah, it's not worth
Yeah.
to pursue, anyways. So
Yeah.
That is the thing that made you stick out to me, because you were standing up for stuff that you truly believed in, and you weren't being steamrolled. And it's like, okay, yeah, this guy actually believes in something and is willing to stand up for it, not just bend down to someone else.
Right.
So
right,
I would say on a practical level, meeting people, Brent Hansen said this a little bit ago, because he pretends and he fakes that he has these great tips for meeting and talking to people at parties.
isn't he like crazy introvert?
yeah,
Yes. but he actually did one a little bit ago that was genuinely helpful. He called it RPG. No, but it stood for stuff to talk about. So you can ask what someone's reading or listening to.
Right.
P is personal projects, like what kind of personal projects they've been working on. And then G was shoot.
Talk about Gavin or God.
No, it was something else. It was what do you what's the word? It's not generous. It's grateful. What are you grateful for? You know?
It sounds like a very, like, if you're in a Christian group thing to ask.
Yeah. But honestly, if I was to ask one of my coworkers, you know, what have you been working on recently? They would probably tell me.
Yeah.
People,
well,
usually if people don't have a lot of friends, they want friends.
yeah.
So they'll tell you about what they're up to.
Yeah.
Then there's those people who just don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, well, I watched a really cool TV show.
Like Jaron.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you ask if they had
Don't
thoughts.
judge.
You ask if they had
I thought
thoughts
we
about
don't
that
judge
TV
on this
show.
podcast.
Let's just do an intervention here about him and his TV shows.
I
All right,
quit.
Jaron.
You wanna let's go.
All right, Jaron. Psych is good and all, but you got to stop saying "come on, son" every time you see me.
What? Come on, son.
I'm pretty sure that wasn't from Psych.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
no, from you. You didn't get that characteristic from Psych, did you?
no, I did. 100%.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got it from that other buddy of ours.
See,
No,
I know.
Joe
No,
McPhobe.
he
I know
got it
things.
from that show, and I got it from that
Oh,
show.
okay. That's
so
funny.
it's
Yeah.
kind
I
of like
didn't
that
realize
thing
that.
of when someone introduces Psych, you're like, "What? Come on, son." They're like, "What?"
I haven't even finished
Just
the first
nerd
season,
out
so
for a minute. Yeah, stupid. But hey, yeah.
Gotta love it.
anyways, I think that's
But yeah, I think one more thing. For me, it's been stand up for what you believe in, and you'll find people, and it takes a really long time. It takes a really long time to make a good friend.
yeah.
It takes a lot of commitment and a lot of time, and at times you're gonna feel like you just want to quit. Because there have been times where I'm like, I could just quit this relationship with Eli. No big deal, End of story. I don't need him. He doesn't
He
need
sucks
me.
anyways.
Yeah.
I've thought of that. I've thought of been like, you know what, Jaron, who cares? He believes this. We've been in fights, and I'm like, okay, we can just end it right here, right now. And,
Hang on.
I've thought that once
it's-
about Gavin, and then Jaron just.
But then you saw how beautiful and glorious
yeah,
I was.
definitely.
the
that you
hair.
like-
It's
And then-
the hair.
and then Jaron made me PO'd really hard a few times, and I was like, all right, Jaron,
I've never made people mad in my life.
back off. But
Yeah.
ultimately, when that happens, I know I'm being dramatic, because I really do
Because
love
you're
you
such
guys.
a drama
Yeah.
queen.
It-
That's
It's
what you are.
probably on both sides, though.
Yeah.
It's like one side being maybe a little bit too,
Unreasonable.
well, unreasonable, and then like for me, just being like too intrusive, super intrusive, putting myself in spots where I don't belong. It's like, sit down, son, for you knoweth not what you speak of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with me, Jaron doing the intrusive thing, sometimes it was totally justified. And so like we had to like sort out the places that were actually justified for him to
Yeah.
jump in and say, "Hey man, what are you doing right now?" But
Yeah.
you learn those things about each other.
Yeah.
And so you can actually navigate them with a lot of accuracy if you're paying attention.
Yep.
Yeah, and I will say, for like being intrusive, it wasn't really like a just randomly stick your toe in the door thing. It was like a, at the beginning of boot camp, we actually asked each other,
Yeah.
can you do this for me? And we were like, yeah, and we've done it for each other multiple times. Just for me, I went too far with it. I think
Yeah.
Yeah. stuck
On a-
my whole like half my body in the door.
On
kinda.
occasion. Yeah.
Yeah. I've definitely done that as well.
Yeah, I think the thing is, to your list of stuff of, stand up for what you believe in. I think there's kind of a dichotomy there of,
sure.
a big word. Standing up for what you believe in, but also being open enough to, if someone presents an argument that, is worth listening to, then listen to it,
Yeah, willing to admit when you're wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think not attaching your ego, which is super hard because we as humans, and I do this every day pretty much, attaching your ego to what you say, to where if someone shoots down what you say, you feel like you're being attacked as a human almost. And
Yeah.
in some cases you are, but
I'm
other
exceedingly
cases,
humble.
you're
And
not.
I have no ego.
Yeah. But like we're saying, it helps to have the friends,
Yeah.
the people that you know you can trust that want the best for you to be able to tell you without your ego in the way what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Or ask questions about what's going on in a way that doesn't feel like they're trying to attack you as a person, you know?
it's been helpful having a group of friends and not just a friend.
Yeah.
You know, so that I can go to Jaron and be like, man, Eli's just, I hate him so much, and there's this problem with him, and there's this problem. And Jaron's like, yep, well, you see here, this is where you're wrong.
Why am I talking like
know?
this?
He goes,
This is where you're wrong.
Because frankly,
no, he
I
goes,
don't-
well, you see,
Your mic.
Hey,
I keep messing up my
Don't
mic.
bump that, bro. Whoa.
whoa.
Yeah, we'll go into this little Matthew McConaughey voice. Yeah. Wow, you see.
I
All
honestly
right,
don't
all
know
right.
if I do a Matthew McConaughey.
All
voice.
right.
No,
all
you
right.
don't. But
Like
you,
the all-wise JJ Ron.
you can't go to the other friends and be like, this is all my problems, and he'll be like, yeah, you're justified in saying this, but in this area, you're
Yeah.
kind of you're talking about your ego, you know, and this is about you and not him. You know, you need to change here and not him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's been really helpful. And then yeah, just in all areas being able to talk to other friends because they know the other person too, almost as well as you do.
Multiple point of views.
Hopefully.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not even just Jaron. I could go to Morgan as well and be like, oh, this or that, you know?
like-
And he'll either say, yeah, you're so right. And I'm like, for some reason, it doesn't feel right. And I'll go to Jaron.
Yeah.
Jaron and be like, nope, you're wrong. And I'm like, that feels right, but man, it hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No offense to Morgan.
perspective is
Yeah.
key.
Yep.
Yeah. Get as much perspective as possible.
I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty much done. I've said everything.
Yeah.
On
Well,
friend groups.
I think that's good too. Yeah. Well, we think we need friends.
Yeah, surround yourself with good people.
We think you need friends.
You shall emulate the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah, so be careful.
Surround yourself with good people.
So I adopted a Gollum voice. I got that from Jaron. And
It's
been pretty
from working
spot on.
underneath houses, okay?
It's been pretty spot on.
It is scary. Like, that is one thing I'll warn you. If you become deep friends with someone, you will become them.
Yeah.
Well,
sometimes.
Not
Parts
really
of them. You
become
pick
them,
up parts
but you
of
pick up parts of them.
some
Yeah.
of the habits
100%.
that they have. You
Yeah.
will do.
It's scary because, like, you introduced me to the Trump voice, and now I do the Trump voice.
Yeah.
Not well at all, but I still do it.
Well, I think mostly for
introduced
me
me
it was
to-
just accents in general.
Yeah,
Yeah, true.
That's fair.
Jordan Peterson, I can do a very high pitched one.
Yeah.
But that was a bad version of it.
You
because-
gotta clean your room.
You've got to clean your room. What are you doing just sitting there?
I'm actually listening to his new book. It's really good.
Really?
Yeah, it's a good book.
Yeah, I actually listened to the podcast you sent me
Oh, yeah.
today.
That was a good one, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. Mr. JP, as I call him.
Yes, sir.
Going towards that
JBP.
Christian,
JBP.
Christian side.
He's
of
an
things.
interesting man. Anyways,
Yeah, you will become your friends, or you'll become bits and
see,
pieces of them.
I'm interested in everything he's interested in now, and then they have conversations, and I have no idea what they're talking about.
because we're super
Yeah,
wise.
see, look, at least hang out with your friends every once in a while.
Yeah.
Eli.
You ready for the talk? Let's talk.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
I think that wraps it up.
Don't sugarcoat things and get up early. Unlike me, I
Yeah.
don't get up early.
thanks
anymore.
thanks for joining us for this. If you found anything good about it, you can let us know. Stayingchristian@gmail.com, or
Yep.
we are on Instagram @stayingchristian.
Yep. Or Twitter, if you're one of those Twitter people.
It's-
Stay in.
Twitter's
Christian.
a dumpster fire.
Hot take.
I'm really good at judging people, and if you're on Twitter, you two are a dumpster fire.
You know, Zoob's on Twitter, right?
Of course, Sub's a dumpster fire. He's like the heart of the flame.
Oh, snap.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. See you guys next time. Stay real.
Yeah, and well, before we do the outro, I do want to do a quick disclaimer. This was kind of unorganized. So
Spur of the moment thing.
yeah, this was kind of spur of the moment. So I'm sorry for that. Hopefully there is something in this podcast for you guys if this gets released onto the internet. That is all I have to say. I'm really sorry. So
Yeah, it's went from one of those things where I'm like, hey, you guys should maybe get me on the podcast. Maybe I can make y'all's numbers go up. Gavin's like,
skyrocket.
meh.
And then
So,
tonight
you
I
know
was
what?
like,
Actually, let's
tonight,
do something.
let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. All right.
So yeah. Sorry to cut you off, Eli, with the
No,
outro
it's
there.
fine. I just thought we were done.
You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, I
You
gave
wanna
it. I
break
was
down
very
your
offended.
emotion?
I was very offended that I went all in on the outro and you didn't say a word until I'd already finished.
We've
So
come full
you can go take
circle.
a little cry out on the porch and we can come back and talk about
A
it.
little cry. Jeez.
All right.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
It's been fun.
See ya. God bless.
Stay real.
Stay Christian.
Bye.
Bye.